The biggest night of the year for WWE happened last night, WrestleMania 32. What exactly happened? Who walked away WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Does Shane McMahon have control of Monday Night Raw, or does the control still reside within the Authority? What happened in the Intercontinental title ladder match? And a brand new rebranded title made its debut and return to WWE. What exactly we're talking about? We're going to talk more about that on this WrestleMania 32 review right here on WGS-TV. Hey, YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
This is Spielberg.
And this is Ashley Spears.
And we definitely watch WGS-TV. Because we're on it. Definitely on it. You guys better respect my veterans.
Greetings, YouTube. Yeah, we're back into another episode of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. I am the WrestleGamer Double People Levucho, and this is going to be the WrestleMania 32 review right here, guys and gals. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, a lot to discuss when it pertains to WrestleMania 32. So let me go ahead and introduce the panel for this WrestleMania 32 review. First off, ladies and gentlemen, you know him as our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
Pretty good, a little tired from last night, and yes, that's what she said.
He's the Bay Area MVP known as Will. Will, what's up?
If WrestleMania was going to be 5 hours, why didn't they just put a fucking pig pen in Jello for the women's match, damn it?
I think that's the
Listen up, creative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the master of Rock and Wyatt 11294 is here. It's Chris Rogers. Chris, how you doing?
I am doing good. And Bay Area, if they actually put a pig pen in Jello for the Divas, I would actually pay $9.99.
And ladies and gentlemen, our old friend Marc Smith is here. Marc, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Billy. It's great to be back on WGS-TV. It's been way too long.
Definitely. So with that being said, guys and gals, we got, like I said before, we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. WrestleMania's kickoff show would open up with the United States champion Kalisto defending the title against the big guy Ryback. Ever since they put the title back on Kalisto, WWE has been trying to pass him off as the next Rey Mysterio, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The matchup in itself wasn't bad, all things considered. It was basically your big guy versus little guy match, which normally you would see the big guy win, but as of late, Kalisto's being billed as the next great underdog, which was kind of Rey Mysterio's gimmick during his career. Having him overcome the odds and pick up the win against Ryback with the SDS, the Salito del Sol, to me, honestly, was kind of expected. But then again, those are just my thoughts on it. Lance, what do you think?
Well, since it's Ryback, he belongs on the pre-show, so I agree with the placement of the match. But it was a very entertaining match, I'll give him that.
Up next was the 10 Diva Tag Team match featuring Team Total Divas taking on B.A.D and Blonde. The interesting for me thing in this match was seeing Lana, her in-ring debut, and what she can do. First off, for her ring gear, I approve. I definitely approve.
Yes.
But for what it was okay. Now, this was heavily rumored all over the internet that this was going to be Brie Bella's last match, and the way the finish went with Brie locking on the yes lock on Naomi, and then the celebration that took place that even saw Nikki Bella, neck brace and all, come out, it definitely would leave the impression, Chris, that this was indeed her last match in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, holy damn. I mean, that's all I can really say is holy damn.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, you know, if it's going to be your last match, why not let it be at WrestleMania? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it went out.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one, definitely. And it's always good to go out on top, in my personal opinion. And you know, having Brie Bella not only win the match, her team win the match, but have her in the finish, and then the celebration that took after, to me, I think that's a positive way to go out if that was indeed Brie Bella's last match in WWE. Now, another thing that was heavily rumored all over the IWC over the past couple of weeks was a rebranding of the Divas division back to the women's division. And considering the new crop of female talent coming into the main roster from NXT, rebranding wasn't only warranted, but necessary. Lita unveiled the new Women's Championship belt, which closely resembles the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt, but it was still a nice design in my opinion. Mark, what was your thought on that?
Still better than the Divas title.
And that's all that needs to be said. Don't need to go further than that.
Nope,
Definitely.
not at all.
Anyway, following that, we would have two really great tag teams were featured in the next match, with the Dudley Boyz taking on the Usos. The build for the match, however, was on and off over and over again within the weeks leading into this match, ever since the Dudleys turned heel and put the Usos through the table. Not only did the Usos pick up the win with the super kick to Devon, but they put the Dudleys through the table, which would kind of signify to me, Will, the end of the angle between these two teams.
I'm sorry. I was getting back my $9.99 for this one, and see, this is where.
Well, hold on. You didn't spend $99 on this one. This was on the Kickoff that actually was on USA Network for free.
Oh man, then this guy sold me a bad ticket. I'm just kidding. See, here's the problem with the Usos and the Dudleys, in my opinion. I respect the Dudleys for who they are. One of the greatest tag teams in the world. The Usos, they're getting up there in age. I felt like this WrestleMania pre-kickoff match, whatever you want to call it, this fuckery of folly, this should have been on the main card, but you got to give it for what it's worth here. I mean, some fans in the front row were probably asking themselves, why are we watching this ahead of the main card? But hey, Usos won, didn't they? And poor tables. Poor tables.
Last thing I want to say about the WrestleMania 32 Kickoff was Mauro Ranallo was doing play-by-play commentary, and to me that made it much, much better.
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely. Now,
Agreed.
however, WrestleMania 32 would kick off in a real good way with the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. First off, I want to point out that Stardust paid homage to his legendary dad, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, with his gear, which was kind of a cross between his usual Stardust getup and added yellow polka dots, and he chose a real great stage to honor his father the way that he did. Ladder matches at WrestleMania have always been traditionally a great match to watch, and this match was no exception, to say the least, considering the crop of talent involved in the match. However, seeing Zack Ryder climb the ladder and take down the Intercontinental Championship was a scenario that I honestly never saw coming. The person I thought they were going to put it on was Sami Zayn, and would intensify the feud between him and Kevin Owens, but that didn't go that way with it. Props to Ryder for becoming the Intercontinental Champion, but now the question is, Chris, will he be a transitional champion? Because they could have put the title on him last night just so he could lose it back to Kevin Owens on Raw. It's happened many times before.
Yes, but here's my take. As when Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental title, it was no longer WrestleMania. It was Woo Mania.
You know it.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, you always have to follow it with the you know it. Whenever someone does that, it has to be you know it to follow that. But you know what was also a great match? Chris Jericho and AJ Styles. They've had a great series of matches ever since AJ made his debut back in January. And what possibly could be their final match in the angle, it did not disappoint. When you take two top-tier talents, in my opinion, in Jericho and Styles, you're almost guaranteed to have a great match. The Styles Clash... Go ahead, Chris.
It really wasn't as good as the previous matches. The ending was done horribly.
Well,
it was predictable.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. The Styles Clash made its return last night, but it did not get the win for the match. The finish that everyone's referring to was Jericho countering Styles' phenomenal forearm into the Codebreaker. But let me say this. Even though Styles did not go over in this match, I still see this as a great WrestleMania debut match for Styles. In my personal opinion, Lance, he couldn't have had a better person to work with in this match.
Oh, most definitely not. He couldn't have, because, well, these two guys just have great in-ring chemistry, and yeah, I'll give it to it wasn't as good as the last two matches, but then again, we have seen two great matches from these guys at the same time. So was it great? Yes. Was it as great as the other two? No.
You know, in the history that I've been a wrestling fan, I have never seen anyone walk out of a giant box of cereal and make anime references with their gear.
Oh God!
Yes.
We're gonna cover this now.
Yes.
We're gonna cover this. Oh Lord!
The New Day changed all of that. They walked out of a giant box of Bootios dressed as the Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I thought they were Saiyans.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and WG fans all over the world, what we've seen at WrestleMania 32 for the New Day dressed up as Nappa, Raditz, and what would be a non-fictional character of Dragon Ball Z litrified how much the smell of Honey Nut Cheerios were actually in the Bootios. But that was a fucking badass entrance. Go ahead, Billy.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love the New Day. They took on the League of Nations in a great six-man tag match, in my opinion. However, the power of the Ginyu Force wasn't enough for the New Day to go over, and Sheamus hit a vicious bro kick on Xavier Woods to give the League the win. There were a lot of chants for Up, Up, Down, Down, which is referencing their YouTube channel. By the way, it is a really good channel, and they do a lot of great games on there as well. So that's another great thing out of WWE for them. But after the match, Baron got on the mic to proclaim the League of Nations to be the greatest team, which brought out 3 surprises in the form of Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and in true WrestleMania fashion, they took out the League with their signature moves: Sweet Chin Music from HBK, Mr. Socko from Mick Foley, and of course, the Stunner from Stone Cold. And what was even more stunning than that, well, it was the fact that the New Day got all of them to dance with them.
Including Stone Cold Steve Austin.
This is the funniest thing I'm going to say here. If you WWE fans all over the world did not know that was the Attitude Era coming back for only 10 minutes, you be living under a rock, because that was great. And even though Stone Cold don't dance, he still ate a stunner for numerous reasons in Austin's head, but they celebrated, and
One would also possibly describe it as a true WrestleMania moment that will live on in future generations. Definitely, when people look back at this WrestleMania, that'll be one of the moments that I talk about when Stone Cold Steve Austin danced with the New Day. The No Holds Barred Street Fight was up next as Brock Lesnar, the IWC's favorite hero, taking on Dean Ambrose. Now, Ambrose and Lesnar incorporated weapons really well into their match. Even the chainsaw and Barbie, the barbed wire covered baseball bat, made their respective appearances courtesy of Dean Ambrose. Now, of course, with everyone in WWE pandering to Lesnar's ridiculous Suplex City gimmick, they would have to keep track of all the suplexes in the match. The count, I believe, was 13. I might be off. I'm not sure, but I believe last time I checked it was 13.
Yeah, they had a guy in the crowd that was holding up signs for every suplex thrown by Brock Lesnar.
However, it was not a suplex that got the finish, though. Go ahead, Chris.
True.
It was a leaf counter that was keeping track of the suplexes.
The leaf counter?
Like, you turn over these, like, little card things and it count. Like rec department soccer matches, how they keep the score.
The finish of the match was actually an F5 on the steel chairs that gave Lesnar the win. And you know what, Mark? I'll give them both credit in this match. It was actually better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yep. Honestly, I thought they were going to do a little bit more, but, you know, I was satisfied with it. You know, the F5 onto the mountain of chairs, I think that was a pretty good finish, you know? Because with Dean Ambrose, you know, selling that he's indestructible, that you're not going to kill me, you know, an F5, you know, just wouldn't work, so, hell, why not do it on a mountain of chairs?
Agreed. Now, originally billed as the Divas Championship match, rebranded the Women's Championship match thanks to the unveiling earlier in the night, was well done. I personally believe to refer to Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch as divas, to me, is an insult. They're women's wrestlers. That's who they are. And the timing they had with the rebranding, the division couldn't have been better. It was a great triple threat match. Charlotte would lock on the figure eight on Becky Lynch, while Ric Flair was copping a major feel on Sasha Banks to pick up the win and pick up the new women's championship belts. But I gotta say this, I said it before, Mark. This was, the division needed a rebranding, and they chose the best time to do it.
Yes, the Divas matches, that's usually whenever I leave the room because it's just an eyesore to watch. And thank God that there's finally women wrestlers. Notice I'm not saying sports entertainers. I'm saying wrestlers that's actually entertaining to watch.
Oh, definitely, and one would suspect with more and more talent coming in that from NXT that they will definitely be using that as well as I'm sorry, I just lost my place on my review. I do apologize. When it came to the Hell in a Cell match, the biggest question mark I had was, can Shane still go the same way he used to several years ago before he left the WWE? Well, last night was a definite yes to that question. And I think probably the one single moment people will take from this match is Shane's incredible leap off the cell and crashing through the table in true Shane O'Mac fashion. Now, we've seen him do some crazy stuff before, taking crazy leaps, but this cell leap has to be right up there, if not at the top of the craziest things he's ever done in his career.
Okay, and let's go on record here on WGS-TV, and everybody would agree, what Shane did was probably more vertical than when Mick Foley fell down that Hell in a Cell 97. We all can agree on that. But, ooh, that landing was just brutal.
Yeah, it was sick, man.
Go ahead. Yeah. Did it look like he was supposed to? It looked like he was supposed to land like dead center of the announce table, and from the way it looked like he didn't hit it.
No, Undertaker moved.
Of course he didn't hit it. Undertaker moved out the way, and he was shaking for about a few minutes.
However, it was the Undertaker with the Tombstone Piledriver that finished the match, so I guess this wasn't Undertaker's last WrestleMania match after all. So which now begs the question, when will Undertaker call it quits?
Never. I mean, people were speculating and thought that he was going to call it quits after the first Triple H match a couple of WrestleManias ago. So
yeah, the end of an era match.
Yeah, because he could barely move, and now he's fat, and he had that horrible match with the Wyatts I think it was the Wyatts last year. May have been somebody else, but anyway.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah. So I mean. Yeah. So.
Now, with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it served three different purposes. One, to honor the memory of the late, great Andre the Giant. Two, to have a great Battle Royal match that actually featured Shaquille O'Neal. Now, what? I'm trying to think, was Shaquille O'Neal ever... Remember when Hulk Hogan had the Celebrity Championship Wrestling on CMT? Was Shaq ever on that? Because I'm thinking it was either him or Rodman that was on it.
I think it was Rodman.
It was Rodman.
But I think, to everyone's surprise, Baron Corbin from NXT, the lone wolf Baron Corbin, who lost to Austin Aries at NXT TakeOver Dallas, actually came out the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Chris, let me ask this to you. Is this a way of WWE being subtle with moving Baron Corbin to the main roster?
That could be seen as a way, but I am just glad that someone from NXT, won something like that. I mean, that's like a huge thing to win from NXT. So kudos to WWE for letting some of the NXT roster shine. Kudos.
Yep. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. Will, I think it's safe to say that nobody actually saw Baron Corbin coming out the winner. There were a lot of big names in there. Diamond Dallas Page was in there. Tatanka was in there. But Baron Corbin of NXT, I never thought that he would be the one to go over and win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
And this will not hurt his stock going into the main roster whatsoever. I mean, at NXT Dallas, he learned what Austin Aries is. He got a shot, and honestly, he was one of the few wrestlers that a mystery, and Lord enough, when that camera was on Baron Corbin, a lot of people were probably, oh, Baron Corbin's going to win. Baron Corbin's going to win. And Lord behold. So to comply with Chris's answer, should he be in the main roster now? He can. Will it hurt his stock going forward? No. Like you said, NXT's going to shine, and this is going to be the chance for him to go over in the next years to come.
The Rock would be out next to announce, as expected, the attendance record for WrestleMania being broken. However, seeing the Wyatt family there did take me by surprise. It was a great exchange between the two on the mic. You know, The Rock always been great with cutting promos, and yes, even though I don't like The Rock very much, I will give him his credit. He was always great on the mic. And Bray Wyatt, to me, who is really an underrated used talent. You know, they could be doing so much more with the Wyatt family, but to leave the impromptu match to Eric Rowan was a little bit of a letdown, considering the match only consisted of Rock hitting the rock bottom and picking up the win in 6 seconds. And then when it looked like Rock was going to get the traditional Wyatt family treatment, aka getting his ass beat, out comes a returning John Cena to make the save. They took out the Wyatts with their signatures, of course. Cena, of course, hitting the AA on Eric Rowan, Rock hitting the rock bottom on Strowman. Bray was the last one to get taken out, and of course they would do it with the Rock, and of course it was the People's Elbow that did it. Now, this stuff was great during Rock's initial run in WWE, but nowadays I don't know. My final thought on this one right here, Lance, they could be doing so much more with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatts, and they made them look like jokes last night.
Yeah, and the major problem I have with the actual match, you do not have a damn squash match at WrestleMania. It's just not done. You don't have a damn squash match on the grandest stage of them all.
They needed
it's just bad booking.
Yeah, they needed something to fill about 5 minutes.
You know, they could have just had the promo and then have Cena come out and make a save. They didn't really have to have a match. I mean, the matchup was like, what, 6-7 seconds? They really didn't need it. It was really an unnecessary part of the whole segment. They could have gone with just the promos, beatdown, and the save. And to me, it would have sold it. Having that squash match, to me, personally, it hurt it. It hurt the whole segment. But now, it's main event time. WWE World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Triple H defending against Roman Reigns. First, let me say, Stephanie McMahon's outfit last night, wow. Just wow.
I know, right?
And I will say, a much better produced entrance for Triple H. An entrance that actually ties into the King of Kings gimmick, unlike last year with the weird Terminator entrance. They gave Roman a good...
Wait, Billy, did you see Triple H almost fall and bust his ass?
I did
yes.
not.
For those who did see, when he got to the middle of that star, sorry, Chris, when he got to the middle of that star, Billy, if you looked at his left foot, it looked like he was going to bite it a little bit.
I didn't even notice that.
They gave Roman Reigns a good entrance too, though, but they were a little slow on the uptake when it came to the cue for the pyro. When he was doing the Superman punch, he was already on the ground and like, oh shit, he did the Superman punch thing. We got to push the pyro button. They were like 3 or 4 seconds a little bit late on that, so I'm just nitpicking a little bit. Now, when it comes to nitpicking, Dallas really seemed to hate Roman's guts last night, which is to be expected because about half of the IWC see Reigns as the next John Cena. I mean, if they're really pissed off about Roman Reigns being in the spot that he's in, then who is there to be in that spot that he's in right now? A roster plagued with injuries? Yeah, exactly. A roster that with everyone being injured, there are a lot of overrated talents, hint, hint, Brock Lesnar. And when you look at the rest of them, none of them are actually ready to be in this spot. So I think Dallas and the IWC are just being some whiny bitches about it.
Wait a minute, Billy. Billy, I gotta disagree with you on one thing. It's not that they see him as next John Cena. It's just with WWE, they make it so blatantly freaking obvious what they're gonna do with Roman.
Matchup in itself was actually really good. I'm a little astonished with the fans, as to me, they got, from the way it looked from my perspective, legitimately pissed off when Roman Reigns went for the spear on the game and hit Stephanie as Triple H got out of the way. I mean, they really look legit pissed. So fans hate Roman Reigns as much as it looks like. Despite the protests from fans about the situation, it was honestly expected to see Reigns come out on top and win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship by hitting the spear on Triple H. I'm going to say, after that moment happened, literally about half the crowd went silent, while the other half cheered at the finish. I mean, I really don't know what else to say about that one, Will.
I do. Believe me, I do. And I'm going to take a quote from our friend James for the Big Easy here. We both thought the same thing here. After many attempts of the sledgehammer being used, yeah. But Roman coming with the win, the only question remains going into tonight's Raw. Will he be cheered? Will he be booed? Will the IWC whine like a bunch of pack rats like Niagara Falls on a bad day? We won't know till the night.
That's an interesting analogy right there. Overall score in WrestleMania 32 this year gets a 4 out of 5 from me, with the best match of the night going to the Hell in a Cell match, with the worst going to Eric Rowan and The Rock for obvious reasons right there. So that's pretty much cut and dry. Everyone's heard my opinion. Let's go to Lance now and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of WrestleMania 32.
Overall score, I'd give this a 4.5. The only thing, there's that the little squash match, and to me, it was a little long. But best match, yeah, the Taker Hell in a Cell. Worst, gotta be the 6 seconds. And best moment, I gotta give it to the Attitude Era coming back for about 10 minutes.
No honorable mention of the New Day walking out of the cereal box dressed as a Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z.
That was going to be mine.
Sure, why not?
Well, let's go to Mark then, and as we already understood that part to be one of his best moments of the night, and along with that, get his overall score and his picks also for worst match or segment of WrestleMania 32.
I'm gonna have to give this score a 4.5 out of 5. It was definitely better than last year's WrestleMania, and my favorite match, Hell in a Cell, Taker and Shane. Worst segment, worst match, the squash. It didn't need to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty much understood. You know, again, promo was good. The save could have been good. The match, 6-second match, was absolutely completely unnecessary. As we go to Will next, get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of WrestleMania 32.
I understand y'all ratings, but I'm going to go with a 3.75 out of 5 for this one. I have to lower my rank just because of how long it was. It could have been time organized, so yeah. Best match, I'm all on board with you guys. It's Shane and Taker. Worst match, Rock making Eric Rowan 6 seconds. Best segment, Ginyu Force out of a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. Everybody knows. And worst segment, really? I'm sorry, but when you put yourself together and say that Zack Ryder did not deserve, I'm going to just say the worst segment was people on Twitter bad-mouthing Zack Ryder because he deserved the title. I don't care what anybody thinks. If you're Zack Ryder here, kiss my ass.
Of course.
Well, he's got the IC belt and he's got Emma, so he probably don't give a shit.
On that startling revelation, we're going to go to Chris and get his picks and his overall score for WrestleMania 32. Chris?
My favorite match, I have to go on with the majority here. It's Hell in a Cell. Worst match, it's a toss. I have two least favorites. One was the 6-second Rock match. And the other, this is gonna startle y'all, but AJ and Jericho. For some reason, I didn't really. wasn't a. I
Holy
couldn't get in.
Okay.
I didn't really get into the match all that great. Plus the ending, it just was. I mean, when with an ending, I mean, with Jericho and AJ, you're expecting something big, a big finish. And I'm not saying I didn't like the match because Jericho won and he's a heel. I'm not saying that. I like Jericho as a heel in this run, but I was expecting something bigger, a bigger finish than just a code breaker. I mean,
personally, I've always thought Jericho was better as a heel. It looked like, he was actually enjoying it more. He was allowed to do more creatively when he was a heel. And when he turned heel on AJ Styles and started doing the build into this match, it was just absolutely golden what he was doing.
And for best segment, I gotta. It's a toss-up between Triple H almost slamming his ass on the stage from a bottle of water and the New Day making sure that nobody had his booty by coming out a box of videos. And the worst segment, I got it's basically whenever the Wyatts were talking, because I'm gonna say it here, I always bash the Wyatts, so yeah. But overall, I gotta give it a 4.5 out of 5. Very
well,
good
guys
show.
and gals, you've heard what we've had to say about WrestleMania. What we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on WrestleMania this year. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment at WrestleMania 32? Do you agree with our picks, or do you have a different opinion on what should be best match and worst match? We definitely want to hear what you guys out there have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck gourmet cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants. Every Wednesday night, I go live with Lance Moss TV and friends. I never know who's going to show up. And hit me up on Twitter. It's @LanceMossTV.
Chris Rogers is the master of Rock and Wyatt 11294. Chris, where can they check you out?
They can check me out on rockandwaves.com and on ivlog.tv/user/chrismaster1. I go live there every Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, every Thursday night at 11:45, and every Saturday at 2 p.m., and on most Fridays at 2 p.m. as well.
WGS-TV is on social media, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You guys can ask me questions. Links will be provided in the description box below. And as always, guys and gals, I'll have a couple videos in the annotations at the end of this video for you guys to check out as well. So for the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, the Bay Area MVP known as Will, Marc Smith, and Chris Rogers from Rock and Wyatt 11294, I'm your friendly neighborhood wrestle gamer, Double B Billy Boudreaux, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys!
Hello? Hello? You're hearing this? Then you did yourself a fine job last night. Well done.
On Booker Knight and Steve Cutler, pretty much the same thing could be said here about the revival as was said about American Alpha. It just really annoys me on commentary, though, when they can't get the signature
videos.